Welcome to the very first episode of The Hollywood Hang, a podcast about the highs, lows, and hell no's of this industry. I am Nick, one of your hosts.
And I am Tupper, the other host.
And we're just going to kind of freestyle this. Maybe we should just talk about like why we're doing this in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think if people don't know, and you have found this podcast clearly by happenstance randomness, Nick and I both make TikToks about working in the film industry and kind of all of the highs, lows, and hell no's of doing that. We both feel really passionately about being very transparent about how difficult it is, and that not it's difficult in a bad way. It's just like the grind of a lifetime. And I think being realistic about all the steps that you have to take to get there and all of the like side quests you go on is like kind of fun to talk with other people about too. So I think that's like why it's fun for us. And also it'll be very fun to have like all of these guests on, because I think that's like the most common thing. Everyone's like, no one's story is the same. Like no one gets their agent the same way or their manager the same way. Everyone's different. And like, that's frustrating to hear, but it's also maybe a little comforting when you hear someone's story and you're like, oh, that could be me.
We're doing this for the same reasons why I think both of us started posting on TikTok in the first place, is because there's not necessarily a lot of educational content out there that teaches you like how things are right now. Even other film podcasts, and this is fine, but I just find that a lot of them are interviewing like seasoned pros or like people who didn't necessarily break in the last 5-10 years, because this industry just changes so fast. Yeah, so I think our hope is to interview a lot of like upcoming talent and people who really have their ear to the ground in terms of like what is happening right now, this current moment, even like year to year, the industry changes.
It's really fun to hear the story from the successful person, but then you're kind of like, there's no way you were just an assistant and then someone bought your script. Like that's just not what happened in all of those like interim years that you were eating the shit. And yeah, I think talking about craft is so interesting. I think you do that so well. I love watching you break down scripts on TikTok, but I think there's like so many good craft podcasts too. So it'll be fun for us to kind of like toe the line between like where is craft and where is like the business. They're so intertwined and how they're changing, like you said.
Yeah, and I think that's like what we both bring. I think your TikToks are really good where you talk about business stuff. I think you always are like reading the latest like Ankler articles and kind of the latest think pieces about like the business and the marketing stuff because you have a marketing background. I think at one point we did a live as well, like a TikTok live, and there were a lot of people who were like, oh, I love both of your guys' content. Like you guys should do a podcast or something. I just feel like it makes sense for us to do this, and combining our pool of people that we know, I think we're going to get some very exciting guests to talk to.
Yes. And I think both of us feel very similar about if there's not a door opening, like break down a window. Like I feel like whenever you talk about script rules that like people say are real, but are in fact like not if the story is good, like those are fun to hear about, because I think people can get in their own way if they're like, it's not exactly right. Or like, you just did a TikTok about like how the story and the emotion is important and not timeline, which is so refreshing because I am a logistics nut job. If she went to bed tonight, she must wake up tomorrow morning and I will explain what happened tomorrow morning. And I'm like, God, that's not necessarily true.
I think it's going to be really good. I'm really excited, and we can, we'll take feedback as we go. If there's certain things people want to hear about, if there's certain questions people have. The thing about the podcast is we're going to have all different types of people on here. So when we were ideating on like what this would be, I was like, if it's like just, we both love writing. We both talk about writing a lot. But if we were to do just a writing podcast, then it's like, well, how could we do it better than script notes? And also that would get boring. So I like that we're going to be interviewing producers, actors, influencers, other podcasters, like so many different types of people, even things that I know nothing about. So I'm excited to kind of branch out a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's fun to realize how many jobs are in the industry. There's coordinators, there's people that tell just as much story like in a marketing job or go to set and they do the background video. Like there's just so many fun jobs that I think people don't always realize that they can do in this industry if they're like, I love movies and I love stories, but I'm not a writer. So I think it'll be fun to kind of like show all of the different jobs, and especially because some people just don't know what people's do in their day-to-day job. Like sometimes producers, I'm like, I know that you're putting all the pieces together, but like the pieces together of 20 projects, how do you keep that straight. Oh, I have a question for you. Has it made you more confident in being a writer? Because I feel less, and I was really embarrassed at first. And I absolutely know people were like, why is she making TikToks? Like she just works in marketing. She wants to be a writer. But I do feel it gave me a lot of confidence to say I want to write, which is always, maybe you feel less awkward about it because you went to school and like you have a degree that proves that you could do it. But I didn't. And I think I struggled a lot with being like, I want to do something creative.
I mean, I feel like you're more natural at it than I am. But I mean, it took a long time for me to like be able to sit in front of the phone and talk in a natural way and not be robotic about it. I mean, and it's also a similar skill in pitching. Yesterday, the pitch I was telling you about for this comedian, after the pitch, this producer, who's also a comedy guy, he had like a talk show for a while, he was like, Nick, have I seen your face on TikTok? I've seen you talk about movies, right? And I was like, yeah, like you're the first person who's ever like called it out. And he was like, no, I can tell in your pitch, like you're very good at speaking and, you know, articulating and telling the story. I think all those things kind of go together. Like the more comfortable you are, because, you know, you're making a 3-minute TikTok, you're still technically like telling a story in a way. So yeah, I think it all helps. But in terms of the expertise thing, I think, you know, you say, oh, you went to film school. But I went to film school with plenty of people who I don't think are qualified to talk about a lot of things. Like, and I think you have so much more on the ground experience, especially because you know so many like working people in this industry and producers, and you've also seen different sides of it. Like you've done the marketing stuff. And at the end of the day, like that was the whole reason I came on TikTok, is because I was like, during the strike, I was like, are there even any people on strike who are talking about this right now on this app? Yeah, I think people like us, it's important for us to be available and answer questions because, yeah, this is not something people normally do in this industry. Like Script Notes is probably the closest thing for their time to be like, we're going to make this helpful resource. But yeah, it's not normal for screenwriters to talk about their projects on TikTok, you know?
There's a lot of ick factor when you're I think it's for any influencer type thing or putting yourself out there. There's like an ick you feel. And then can you hear that ambulance?
Yeah. Maybe we'll just pause for a second. I went to Catholic school, and every time
I didn't know
siren,
that.
Yeah, from kindergarten to 6th grade. And then I went to public in 7th.
Oh my God, wait. I need you to read my Holy Hell script. It's about a woman working at a Catholic school.
Have we never talked about this?
No. Okay, wait, my mom went to a very Catholic all girls high school, and she actually had such a bad time that she didn't send us.
Interesting.
Yeah, she was the
Wait, did you see Immaculate?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you have to see it.
I know. I need to see Immaculate, and I still haven't seen Heretic.
Oh, that was good too.
I know. Anything in the religious zeitgeist really. Shoot, I forgot what we were saying. Oh, the ick of, yes. So yeah, I think you start off a little bit of an ick, as I think with anything, and then you start to get better at it, and it gives you confidence in the other things. I also think it's just interesting to talk about this industry in like, I think some people like will message me and be like, I appreciate the way that you talk about it at like this very base level, because when my sister was a nurse for a really long time and she would say words or like code names and phrases, and I was like, I don't know what any of that is. And the film industry has the same thing, but once you're in it, you don't realize all of these. I remember one of my first pitch decks I made, someone was like, okay, put BO in there. And I was like, BO. And I was like, oh, they mean box office. Something you would just think, now I inherently just know. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what we're talking about. But when you start out, you're just scrambling. What is coverage? I had no idea. My first internship, I said I could do it. And then I Googled it. And then I made it on a movie that was already out. I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is right. Luckily, they gave me a shot. But it's all of those things that like, if I had known, I think I would have been a lot less scared.
Yeah, the ick factor thing. I was talking to somebody I went to film school with recently. We were catching up, and she was like, I think she has a podcast. She does have a podcast. And she was saying, you know, she wants to put herself out there more on TikTok and social media. But she was like concerned that people, I don't think she used the term cringe or ick. It was more like, I'm scared people won't take me seriously if I do that. And yeah, that's been the most ironic thing for me is like, I mean, I had the same fear of like, originally I didn't even want to post on TikTok, on Instagram. I only wanted to post on TikTok because I didn't want people that I knew to see me talk about stuff. But after getting messages like every day from people in film school, and then that kind of turned into like producers that I admire being like, oh, I really like your TikToks. I love that you actually talk about this stuff. That helped a lot for me. And I think the thing that both of us fail to remember is like most people that get on TikTok and make content are not making like free, useful educational content. A lot of people are just famous for just talking about nothing in particular and nothing at all. You know, we make an effort to really try to be helpful, and we provide a lot of like free information because, like you said, like I wish somebody had shared this with me.
I also think there's so much interesting conversation just around the fact that there's more content than ever. There are more shows happening, but it's still not easier, at least in my opinion, to find your way in. You know what I mean? Like it's just such a struggle no matter which way you come from. And then it's kind of like, oh, I think I made it. Like I didn't. Like I got to this one hurdle and now there's another hurdle that I must cross.
Well, let's talk about our personal highs, lows, and hell no's. Now, when we bring on guests in the future, we're not going to make people do all three of these things because I don't ever want to force anyone to talk about negative stories in the industry. Like it's fine if we want to talk about that stuff, but we'll give people the option when they come on, like share with us either a high, a low, or a hell no. Hell no can be interpreted however you want. But since this is the first episode, let's each should we do it all in a row or let's do like each other's. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, good.
And okay,
I want you to go first.
So it'll be my high.
High, yeah.
Okay, I would say that my high was, I mean, it's going to be really corny, but it was making the blacklist. And it's not just because I made the blacklist. It is the context in which I made the blacklist. So I was still an assistant at the time. And obviously, our listeners may or may not be aware that we were both on that list. But, you know, it's like you don't have a lot of celebrations as a screenwriter in your career. Making that list, no matter what people want to say about it, oh, it was more relevant years ago, whatever, it's all just favors and votes. Getting on that list can help you a lot. It helped you, it helped me. But when I made the list, I was still an assistant. And so I'm sitting at my assistant desk in the NBC Universal building and I am like refreshing Twitter because they're doing like the one-by-one posting of these scripts. I end up making the list. I freak out. I start to get texts. People start calling me. My boss comes in because it was like 9 a.m. or something. He's like, what's up? And he opens my door and I was like, I just made the blacklist. And he goes out into like the bullpen and we have like our own section of this office. Like we don't even, it was like the Bravo, like reality TV people. We do not interface with these people. And my boss is just like, hey, everybody, my assistant just made the blacklist. And he was so proud and he was like announcing it to the whole floor. And it was a really nice moment because it was like a reminder of why I had been trying to work so hard. And as an assistant as well, not a lot of things you get to like celebrate necessarily. It was just this kind of magical moment where it pulled me out of the assistant zone. Yeah. And everybody around me kind of celebrated in this really special way. And yeah, that was just like one of my favorite days ever. And I will never forget like being an assistant in this high rise, not making very much money, eating like a really terrible salad out of like my Tupperware but also having this like huge accomplishment that I was just so happy about.
Oh, I love that. We have discussed that my blacklist was an anxiety-ridden mess. So that will not be my high. My high is also, I think there's so many marketing highs that I've worked on really cool campaigns, but I think my high it's blacklist related actually. It was in 2020. COVID happens and I finally decide like, I am going to take writing seriously. This is what I want to do. I've been busy working on Honey Boy and all these Amazon shows, and it's time for me to like focus on what I want, what I came here to do. So I write actually that Catholic school script. I look at Dead to Me as my inspiration. I'm literally, it has up on one screen and my script is up on another, and I'm copying the flow because I'm like, I don't know how to write a script. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I love this show and I love the flashbacks. I end up putting it on the blacklist. I pay the $80 or whatever it was back then, and it gets an 8. It's the first time where I felt like I wasn't just a type A person. Like I was creative and I could write the story, and it was just a very confirming thing for me to keep going. And nothing happened. I think maybe I got semi-finalist or finalist in like the Blacklist Women in Film thing from it, which was great too. But it was just like the confirmation that like you're on the right path that I needed. I don't think I would have kept writing if I had like completely bombed. I don't know. Maybe I would have. So it's like a small high, but it was definitely like the gateway into me actually writing.
Yeah, no, those are important. Like anything that like those are those tiny moments are the ones that could inspire some people to like keep going or cause people to be like, I don't think this is for me. You know?
I know. And I actually I don't think I submitted it a first time. There was a version of it though that was bad. I remember the Dead to Me wasn't the first flow. I think I wrote it myself and I was like, the story is good, but this doesn't make any sense flow wise. And then I pulled up the Dead to Me script and then that was the one that got submitted, which like tracks for it being perfectly laid out.
Lows? Okay. So my low, when I was an assistant at the same company that I was just talking about earlier, sometimes your assistant duties will kind of bleed into personal assistant duties. So often producers, high-powered people will have somebody who does like personal assistant tasks, and then there'll be like a different person who's like working at their company at a desk. I was doing both of these things because it was a very small company. And at the time, ironic because now I'm like fully a crazy cat person. I was not a cat person. I am allergic to cats, although now my cat has kind of cured me of that. Anyway, I would have to take care of my boss's cat a lot. I had an amazing boss, by the way. It's just part of the job. And I didn't want to complain. I never wanted to say I'm allergic to cats. I don't want to do that, because I wanted to be a good assistant. Also, at being a pet owner, being a dog person my whole life, I know people love their pets, and I would be mad at somebody if they were like, I don't want to take care of your pet. Like, you screw your pet. So I would just do the pet errands with this cat. And one day I picked the cat up from a grooming, he had a full bath, like groom session. And usually the cat was like really loud in the bag, like meowing a lot, like wanted to get out. This time it was like completely silent. And I was like, that's weird. But he seems okay otherwise. Like I see him, I'm like, hey, we're almost home. I take him into my boss's house. It's just me. As soon as I open the cat bag, the cat jumps out and it's covered in its own. Yeah. And now being a cat person, I know that cats have, like normal, small, like dry poop. This cat had digestive problems. So it was covered all over its own fur. And I did not know what to do. I like freaked out. The cat is just like staring at me. And I called my boss's wife and I was like, I'm so sorry to bother you. I don't know what to do. This is the situation. I'm freaking out. And she's like, I'm so sorry. She was very apologetic, super nice about it. She's like, just please try to get the cat into the bathroom. Then you can leave, put the cat carrier outside. Like, I'll take care of it. Just get the cat into the bathroom so that it's not tracking all over the house. And so, yeah, I kind of just had a moment where I was like, okay, well, I don't want this cat to like jump all over the furniture, all this stuff. So I just kind of had to just get in there and like bear hug this cat, get it into the bathroom. And that day was, again, like I had a really lucky assistant experience. My bosses were so incredibly nice, so incredibly supportive. They knew I wanted to be a writer. They let me write scripts at work. But in that moment, when you're in that situation and like making barely enough money to pay rent, actually, it wasn't enough money to pay my rent. I was like in debt because I was like, in the zero every month, in the negative. I was just like, it was a low. It was a low that I think about all the time, because it was just like, how am I here right now doing this? And why am I doing this? Do other people have to do stuff like this? It was just one of those moments where it's like, terrible. And then ironically, in a matter of weeks later, after I got on the blacklist, like I had all these huge opportunities and I was able to go accept my first full-time writing job, and I wasn't in debt anymore and I didn't have to do cat stuff anymore. And so that was my low. But again, I just want to stress, I had an amazing boss. This was not his fault. By the way, I'm sure people make their assistants do way worse things than that. But that was a low for me personally.
I feel I was the personal assistant, actually. So I was like used to doing all of that. And I, again, had the sweetest boss in the world. He is still someone who like helps me out regularly. But him and his wife did love to adopt and like foster animals. So I had a lot of animal experiences, or like, we're taking care of the cats. Oh, the cats are coming here. Oh, do you want to go pick out this dog? Yes, that like needs to be safe from the sweetest people. But they were like, oh, the dog's going to come live with us. And I'm like, you guys, they had 3 kids. Their house was a busy place to be. I was like, I understand why you have a personal assistant and an executive assistant. My low is, so I get on the blacklist. I felt nothing but dread because I was the one who didn't have the agent or the manager, no production company. It was all just from like girlfriends in the industry who had read my script. Which was so amazing to have happen. But I was getting a ton of agent and manager meetings, which is also what you think is the dream. In my mind, I had one woman who I really wanted to be my manager. I was like, she's it for me. I've watched her career and I love her. She had repped some people, and not even like she was not repping anyone. Like it wasn't like Amy Poehler's manager. Like she had a range of folks, and I was like, she's my girl. And I had gone to all these meetings. People were like, I love the script. What else are you working on? Blah, blah, blah. And I had a friend, actually, she didn't reach out. I had a friend send my script to her, and she was like, hey, this was really funny, but it's not for me. And that I was like, I was like, oh no. I was like, I think embarrassed a little bit because you shoot your shot and your shot doesn't work out. I'm so happy with the managers I ended up with. They really love that I write such like dark things, but also like can't be wonky. But that was definitely one of those times where you're like, oh, like I'm still not good enough. I could have had all the meetings in the world and I still was harping because I wanted this one woman and she didn't want me back.
It's interesting because I too used to think that phrase "not for me" was this huge slight, but I actually think, I don't know, I think it can be a slight, but it's also kind of like just a respectful way of saying like, hey, this is not the right fit. And I love when people talk about movies and say, oh, it wasn't made for me, instead of saying this movie sucks, because it's obviously made for somebody. Ironically, the management company I'm with now was the company I always wanted to be at. And when I was an assistant, I used my one assistant favor to try to get at this company. And I got kind of told a similar thing, not right for us, but it's all timing.
And that is so true, because I've gone to some general meetings where I loved the person I was talking to. And I was like, oh, we are just like on different wavelengths of what we like. They would kind of be like, oh, could you take this and make it like really sci-fi or really supernatural? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I could spend a year trying to do that, but
wouldn't be not for you.
Yeah. I'm like, that's not for me. I'm going to waste a whole year trying to make you happy instead of potentially there's someone out there where this is right for them in the way that it is currently. So that it was just like, oh, I'm never good enough, even though I've got all these other people. Very grass is always greener, bratty thinking, but it was hard.
Hell no. Now, hell no, if our guests ever do choose to give a hell no anecdote, they can interpret that however they please. I have so many of these that are all different degrees of hell no.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah. And I think in the future, maybe we'll do, I'll talk about more of them and a lot of them I haven't told on TikTok because I do try to keep the TikTok positive, but I also think it's important that people, understand that there are things that they're maddening about this industry that are really horrible and messed up. But I think in keeping it kind of comical, but also hell no. If people are familiar with me on TikTok, one of my first big claims to fame was I busted the A24 con artist, so to speak.
I think that's how we became really good friends.
Yeah, because you're the one who sent me all these videos and was like, something's going on here. Like, what's up with this?
Yeah, but you went full Nancy Drew. It was so impressive.
Yeah, within a matter of days, I'd figured out the whole timeline. I downloaded all the videos. I thought she might delete them. And of course, eventually, I busted this woman and she took down her GoFundMe. She admitted she wasn't really making an A24 film. Anyway, before I publicly busted that con artist for these millions of people on TikTok, I busted a different con artist in the industry. And it's still very much an ongoing situation. So I can't give names, too many details. Someday, the good guys of this story, we will have them on this podcast and talk about this. But they've made it clear to me they don't really want the story to be out there until it's very complicated. But what I can say is that when you're a screenwriter, you get sent pieces of material, often made by other people. Could be short film, could be, an idea, a one sheet, anything, an outline. And it's my job to come in and do the fully fleshed out pitch and try to sell that idea to a studio. So I was brought in on something to pitch on. It was an idea that the studio was already really excited about. It was an idea that I potentially was about to go in and sell. And this would have been great for my career. The thing is, right before the pitch, I found out that this piece of IP, and this never happens. And I always tell people this doesn't really happen. The piece of IP was stolen. So full on, the person who they used it to get representation. It made the rounds, and I was the person who busted the case and had to make this awkward call to my agent and say, "This is really awkward. I'm so sorry, but we have to cancel this meeting tomorrow. It's not going to make any sense to you. I'm going to email you all the evidence right now. This piece of IP is stolen." And I barely stumbled across this because I was making a pitch deck for it, and a magic combination of words on Google led me to the proof. But the thing is, if I would have not found that out and pitched this and sold it, it would for sure be years and years and years of really sticky legal situations where I think it would have been very bad. And I think that a lot of people wouldn't have believed because, people who aren't in the industry are like, Hollywood steals ideas all the time. Look at all these lawsuits. It could have been very, very bad, extremely bad. There was a happy ending to the story. We'll get these guys on in the future and tell the whole story, but it's still definitely ongoing. The con artist had zero repercussions, basically. He's still out there. I still creep him on social media.
Oh my God. Oh, that is a hell no. Because I am watching that apple cider vinegar. Someone always finds something. Like, it's just not, don't do it. My hell no is short and sweet. Short and sweet, guys. Do not date the celebrities. Or if you do, take it very casually and very unseriously. And that's all that I will say. Nick knows more about my hell no, but that is my wise advice for a hell no.
Well, I think that'll give people an idea. Usually it won't just be the two of us. Usually we will have a guest. But yeah, I'm really excited. We'll be back next week. We'll have episodes up every week and we'll have exciting guests. And we will see you guys then.
Thanks, everybody. Excited for this new ride. Yay.